Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 6. Sannyāsastu mahābāho dukkham āptum ayogatah yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adhigacchati. Sannyasaha, the renounced order of life. Tu, but, Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Dukkham, distress. Aptum, afflicts one with. Ayogatah, without devotional service. Yoga yuktah, one engaged in devotional service. Muni, a thinker. Brahma, the Supreme. Na chirena, without delay. Adhigacchati, attains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. Please repeat. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. Purport: there are two classes of sannyasis or persons in the renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of the Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras but use their own commentary called Shariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavat school are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord according to Pancharatriki regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis, engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation, cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculators and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. So this is a classic description of the paths taken by the Mayavadi sannyasis and the Vaishnava sannyasis. Now you may think, why are we even reading about the sannyasis? Anyway, none of us are sannyasis. What is actually sannyasa? Sannyas means, nyasa means to give up or tyag. to give up everything for the cause of Sat. Sat means the eternal truth. Like in India, in North India, when somebody dies, they say Ram Naam Satya Hai. When he is living, they don't say. When he is living, Ram Naam Jhuta Hai. Is that so? No, it's always Satya Hai. But they only chant when somebody dies. That is to remind everybody, because everybody at that time will be crying. To remind them that everything here in this world is not reality. So Ram's name is only the truth. But unfortunately, because they do it only at the time of death, it has become synonymous with death. So I have told this a few times that there was this video on YouTube or WhatsApp or something, where there was a campaign of no smoking. So how they did was, there was this, I did not know, but there is a vendor machine, just like vendor machine is there for drinks. Like that, there is a vending machine for cigarette boxes. So when he puts the money inside, the cigarette box comes out, and then Ram Naam Satya Hai audio also will come out. Means you're going to die. So the person, so they filmed this person. I mean, all the people who are coming at that booth were hidden camera. So when it says Ram Naam Satya, they become scared. Then some people actually left the cigarette and went away. Some people scared, and then anyway they just took the cigarette and went. So like that. So they were getting scared when they heard this. Because it is synonymous with death. Because anything that reminds you of death, they say, is inauspicious. Usually people are like that because they are not brave enough. They don't have the knowledge to face death. They don't understand what is death. So it's fearful. Death is the most fearful thing. So it has become synonymous like that. But actually, we have to understand that Ram Naam Satya Hai means it is the eternal truth, the name of Ram. So we have to always chant it. And at the time of death, if we can remember Ram or Krishna by way of chanting the whole life, because there has to be abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanya paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan, as Krishna has explained in the Bhagavad Gita. You see this word abhyasa. Abhyas means practice. So what is that? Chetas, and what kind of practice? Chetasa, with the mind, na anyagamina, undeviated practice. Not simply, like little bit practice and then relax. Prabhu, I have practiced too much. Not like that. You see here, he who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Why he will reach? Because he has a good chance of remembering Krishna at the time of death, because of his constant practice. That is the whole idea, that we have to, not only when somebody passes away, even when somebody is, everybody is alive and well, we still have to remember that. And actually chant the name of Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that is Sat. So when we come to this point of giving up all other engagements and only taking to the activities of the eternal nature, that is called sannyas. That means giving up all other illusory activities and only activities concerned with Sat. Sat and Asat. Sat means it is truth. But actually Sat means also eternal, because truth is only truth when it is eternal. When it is finished, it is temporary. It is not truth always. For it to be truth always, it has to be eternal. So Asat means that which is not eternal, temporary, illusory, fleeting. like a dream. Dream is not eternal. Like that, this life is like a dream, long dream, 80 years, 90 years, maybe 100 years. But it's a dream nevertheless. So this sat, sannyasa means to give up every single activity other than devotional service and only engage in devotional service. There is a nice verse in the 6th chapter, first verse itself, that describes sannyas. Of course, sannyas is an ashram when one actually becomes a sannyasi. But even wherever one is, he can be a sannyasi, if he is working on this principle. What is that? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na cha akriyah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. What is this? He who lights no fire and performs no duty? Because what does this mean? Actually, according to Vedic regulations, those who are not sannyasis, those who are in Grihastha ashram, they have to do Panchasuna Yajna every day. Panchasuna means to kill. So we are killing in 5 different ways, like when we are walking, when we are cooking, we are killing even ants or germs or whatever. Any kill has to be paid for. So to counteract these sinful activities, one has to do Panchasuna Yajna. And there is Sandhya Vandana, so many. 1 second. There are so many regulations. Anyway. 1 second. So in Grihastha ashrama, one has to do so many things to keep himself from falling down into sinful activities. So when one becomes a sannyasi, he does not have to do these things. He does not have to do these things because he has given up he is deemed to have given up all kinds of sinful activities. So he doesn't have to counteract them. What is this going on here? Sometimes it's just weird. 1 second. That's the problem. Okay, just give me a second here. Okay. So he who lights no fire and performs no duty, and a sannyasi does not have any duty to perform on the material plane because he has given up his family bondage. He is supposed to have given up all kinds of material, relinquished all kinds of material relations. So therefore he does not have any. Why are we working? Why is everybody working? Because we have family, we have so many, one thing after another. We have to maintain the whole thing, status quo. Therefore we have to work, we have to maintain wife, home, children and relatives. All these things necessitates our work. So once one has given up all these things, he has no more work in this world. But that's not to escape. Many people easily say that, sannyasis are escapists. They don't know how to, they don't want any duties. Of course, there are also that kind of sannyasis. Simply easy money, beg somewhere and then smoke ganja, and that kind of people are also there in Kali Yuga especially. But those who have dedicated their life for the service of Krishna, they have very huge duty. Tyaktva turnam asesha mandalapatim shrenim sada tuchhavat bhutva dina ganeshakau karunaya kaupina kanthashkritau The six Goswamis, it is stated in the Shad Goswami Ashtaka written by Srinivasa Acharya. The six Goswamis of Vrindavan, the photo is there. So, they have given up all kinds of high position. They were not ordinary people in society as when they were as grihasthas, they were very, very high position. But they have given up. And as if, how they given up? As if it was some stool in the toilet. Tuchhavat. And they have, and actually in the case of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, the king Nawab Hussain Shah, who was a Muslim ruler, and he totally depended on Rupa and Sanatan. And when they resigned from their jobs, he arrested them. Hey, without you, I cannot even function. Come on, you cannot go. A resignation not granted. So, of course, they escaped. But so he was thinking they were escapists. Oh, in the name of some religion, you are escaping your duties. But somehow or other they escaped by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a long story. But when they gave up everything, they just behaved like mendicants. No possessions, no home, nothing. They were accustomed to royal opulence, but they gave up everything. Why? They have taken up a much bigger cause. Now, a minister in the government is a huge job. But they gave up that. But now they have Bhutva Dina Ganeshakau Karunaya. You see? That means for bestowing mercy upon fallen souls who are suffering in this material world, they have taken up the profession of mendicants. No more, no distraction, nothing else, but full engagement in preaching Krishna consciousness. They have written huge amount of literatures, all the six Goswamis. And now Srila Prabhupada is, has presented the nectar of devotion, the nectar of instruction. And there are so many other literatures they have written. Of course, here and there, parts of it are, in the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So that is very important. Our whole Krishna consciousness movement is based on that. They have even gleaned all kinds of evidences from Shastra about the authenticity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because many people don't even believe that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Krishna. They consider him a sadhu, saint. But they have done that. They have accumulated so much evidence from the Shastras. So in this way, they have thoroughly made a strong foundation for this Krishna consciousness movement, on which basis Srila Prabhupada has freely spread this movement all around the world. So their work is very important. So for such a huge mission they have given up. But when they give up, when somebody takes sannyas, it looks like they are escaping. But they don't see the bigger picture. Like Srila Prabhupada, he gave up his family, he took sannyas. But then you see the result of it. How many, all of us are today sitting here because he has taken that step. It sounds like a very fearful step forward. Oh, sannyas. In fact, Prabhupada was saying, of course he is a pure devotee, but he was also saying that when he was a grihastha, he used to get dreams. 3 times he got the dream that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came and pulled him by the ear. Come take sannyas. Come take sannyas. And Prabhupada was feeling, how can I give up my family, everything. He was feeling the fear. Of course, he is, projecting himself as an ordinary conditioned soul. But you see the fear that exists. But once he took the step, full glory after that. But it is not just that it's not an event. An event is something which happens at a certain point in time. Like birth, for example, is an event. You have a birth time and a date, that's an event. But sannyas means it's not an event. Not that even Diksha, for example, is not just an event. It's a whole process. And as they say, Success is not owned. Success is rented, and the rent is due every day. What does that mean? That means we can't rest on our past laurels. Oh, I am initiated. I am liberated. Oh, I am initiated. So I am liberated. I am going back. God, you are not initiated? No, poor fellow. No, not like this. Just like, for example, another example I will give you, material education. When you get a graduation, there is an event, graduation ceremony. That's it. For the whole life, whether you remember or not, whatever you have studied, you are a graduate and you have deemed to have understood everything inside that course, 4 years, whatever degree you have done. You see? Mataji. So, you see, that's an event. An event is something that happens once. And that's it. You can rest on it. Even after 50 years, you can say, I am a graduate or I am a PhD. I know this one, this subject, whatever. But Krishna consciousness is not like that. Of course, in one way it is. Because Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even little bit you do, that will save you. Suppose I have done some devotional service in this life, maybe 10%. Now next life I will start from 11%. So whatever you have done until now, that will remain. But our spiritual standing is always current, what I am doing now. Whatever I have did before, whatever I have done before, that's alright, done. But now what is my status? Every day. It's not that there is an exam and then you pass and that's it, you are. No. There is infinite scope for improvement. Infinite scope. So that is proper sannyas. It's a process. It's not a one point in time. Diksha also. Yes, you have taken initiation. Some of you have not. But once you take initiation, you have to follow. We have at least I know 3 cases here. They have taken initiation, never to be seen. That was their last day. Yes, I am not joking. The initiation day, the ceremony was their last day in the temple. Their idea was, they were thinking that because they have heard this point that on the initiation, at the time of initiation, the Guru will take all your karma. That I want. I want the karma to be gone. So I want something to purify myself. Okay, take initiation, now I am pure. Okay, I will do whatever I want. I am not going to hell. They think like this. And that is a big folly. You think Srila Prabhupada is so foolish, huh? That we can do any damn thing we like and then Prabhupada has to still come and take us back. Huh? Once we don't follow, the contract is broken. Finish. He is not obliged. Out of his causeless mercy, he may help in one way or the other, but he is not obliged. And we will receive our share, fair share of punishment for that. After having made promise in front of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and fire, which is the representation of Lord Vishnu, and in front of all the Vaishnavas, having made the promise, and once we break that, we have to pay for that. So we have to follow everything. So now, coming back to the point, Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum ayogataha. Now, sannyasa is usually considered a very sad thing, in movies, whenever there's some Tukaram was never sannyas, but any this devotional movies, old movies, when that person is taking sannyas, that music, background music, and the person has to cry. The person watching has to cry. The saddest thing in life. Here it is said dukkham. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham, right? It is completely bogus because they see it only from material point of view. Oh, he is giving up all my enjoyments, no more enjoyment for him. He has, which fool will not want an enjoyment? Huh? You think the person who has taken sannyas is a fool that he doesn't want any enjoyment? Which fool doesn't want any? I mean, who will be such a fool? Nobody. Take it for granted. Anybody that does anything does only for happiness. So we have to only now understand where is he coming from. Why is he taking sannyas? Why is he giving up all the things that people want in this life? Why? What is propelling him? There is something that is moving him to do that. Prabhu, no Prabhu, you don't know. He is actually depressed. That's why he is committing suicide. He wants to commit suicide. Is that so? They are not depressed people who want to jump down from the building. No. They are not that kind of people. In fact, they teach others how to be happy. You know what? The materialists think this person is something wrong with him. I think is he okay? They will ask. Is he mentally okay? Any problem happened? If somebody is taking sannyas, immediately they will ask. Mentally he is okay, fine. While the materialists are thinking like that, the person who is taking sannyas, he will think like this. Prahlad Maharaj, he was not officially sannyas at the time, but his thinking was more than any sannyas. He was only 5-year-old boy. You see what he was thinking. 7th Canto 9 chapter 44th verse. Prayena deva munaya svavimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena parartha nishtha naitan vihaya kripanan vimumuksha eko nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. You see, my dear Lord Narasimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. You see how he is seeing? He is saying that all these materialists are fools and rascals. They don't know how to enjoy life. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. This is what a sannyasi is thinking. Sannyasi is thinking not only how he wants to be happy, he knows already how to be happy. A Vaishnava sannyasi, not the Mayavadi sannyasi. Now just now we have seen that sannyasastu mahabahu dukkham. What is that? We will come to that now. But Vaishnava sannyasi thinks like this. So he is thinking how I can make them also happy. These people are suffering. They are thinking they are happy. The problem is, in this material world, the person who is suffering the most also, he will think that he is happy only. Even in hell, people think they are happy. You know this? You see any animal life. You go to, what is this, National Geographic or some channel. The animals are all being hunted down, and every moment they are in some kind of danger. Always they are in danger. But still they are happy in that position. Happily nibbling grass or happily hunting. They think that is happiness. Pig who is eating stool also, he is thinking he is very happy. Actually he is very happy. He is very happy. Indra was once cursed to become pig. In the Bhagavatam the story is there, whole story. Indra was cursed, king of heaven. He was cursed to become pig. He always does something or the other, he will get cursed. That is Indra's business. He will something or the other stupid thing he will do. I mean, with all due respect, he always does something stupid for some reason or the other. And then he will get cursed by some sage or somebody who will get cursed. So once he was cursed to become pig. He became pig on earth. Now, The time came when the curse was supposed to be finished, and Brahma, Lord Brahma, came down to invite him back to the heavenly kingdom. So he came to the pig. My dear Indra, enough, your curse is over. Please come back to heaven and occupy, because there is vacancy there. Quickly you have to fill the post back again. And he is saying, what are you talking? I have big family, Every day I produced, every year I produced half a dozen every 6 months. So 12 children I produce every year. How many years I have been here? See how much grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I am the great-grandsire here. How much they all look up to me. How can I leave all this, my empire here? Garbage empire. They eat garbage. How can I leave all this, and come? No, I am happy here. Actually, where is that verse? There is a verse actually in Bhagavatam that even in the worst form of life, in the most suffering form, he thinks he is happy. I will show another verse, but this is not the exact verse, but this also gives an idea of what is this material happiness. Let's see what is this material happiness. 3.30.9 Srimad Bhagavatam. Griheshu kuta dharmeshu dukkha tantre svatandritaha kurvan dukkha pratikaram sukhavan manyate grihi. You see this? The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy, politics, and constantly spreading miseries. He is not spreading Krishna consciousness. He is spreading what? Spreading miseries. This is householder life. As much as people want to call it home sweet home, what is so sweet about it? Let's be very honest about it. Instead of just covering it up with euphemism, let's be honest about it. It's not so sweet actually. Everyday quarreling going on, and every whole day we have to work day and night to maintain that whole position. But why are we talking like this? Don't get offended, because this is the actual truth. Not condemning anyone, but just we have to open our eyes to see the reality. You see here, the attached household remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy, politics, and constantly spreading miseries. Restricted in his acts of sense gratification, he acts just to counteract his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks he is happy. Somehow or other, he can, if he, in the water, when you are little bit, if I can, when I am drowning already, when I can little bit, my head, my nose can stay afloat a little bit above the water, I think that is relief. Is that relief? Relief means you come out of the water and on land, you can jump or play or whatever, that is relief. You can do whatever you like. But here we are just struggling to stay afloat, and that we think is, success, grand success. And people who have so-called worked hard and just counteracted their miseries, they are shown as successful people in this world. You see so many documentaries and interviews they will take of these people who have so-called risen to the top. What is that? Simply constant struggle, and still they are also struggling. It is not that it is over. When they achieve their so-called thing, still they are struggling only. And they portray this as success. And because we have seen over and over and over again, we are brainwashed to think that is success. Because that's all we heard in our life. We did not hear anything else. So now, a sannyasi means one who gives up this position of misery. He understands, first of all, that this is actually a miserable position. It's not a very happy position at all. And he gives up. But then, what is that? The verse we have, we have just seen. Dukkham sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha. Now, if a person becomes so-called sannyasi, but he is ayogataha. Yogataha means what? Yoga means what? Yoga means qualify? Not yoga. Yoga means, there is one true yoga in CBD area. Real yoga, true yoga there. posters are there, and you go there, very, very posh, right in the heart of the CBD. There's a huge studios, and they have their own apparel and all kinds of. That is not true yoga. That's not real. Fake, complete fake, nonsense. Yoga is not a fitness exercise thing at all. This is a complete sacrilege of yoga. Yoga is such a sacred thing, devotional service, and it has been, being portrayed as some cheap kind of, what is that? Fitness exercise. As if that's all that there is to it. No, it's not at all. Ayogata. Yoga means connection. Even in if you learn in Hindi medium school, Yog means addition, Yog means, addition. Connect both together. Bring them both together. So, yoga means now we are who? We are Mamayvamsho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. We as Atma are parts and parcels of Paramatma. Mama Eva Amsha, Krishna is saying in the 15th chapter. Everybody is my part and parcel. That means we are supposed to be always connected with God, Krishna. That is the connection it is talking about here in the Bhagavad Gita. Ayogataha means we are now disconnected. Not literally, because we cannot at all be disconnected from Krishna. But in our minds, we think so. We are never disconnected from Him, because the very body that we have gotten is by Him only. From Him we have gotten this. And our intelligence, our ingredients for our sustenance, everything is given by Him only. There is absolutely no disconnection. But in our minds, we have completely forgotten. We have absolutely no idea that Krishna is the one who is directing all our activities, or not directing our activities directly, but is providing for our desires. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai. So this ayogataha means when we are totally disconnected. And what is the yoga then? What is this connection? How to connect with God now? Prabhu, 5G is coming very fastly, very quickly you can connect. Is that how we connect to God? What is the connection with God? How to connect? Help of Guru. Nowadays there are many gurus, no? Every street corner there is one guru. Nowadays even the schools, children also are taught. In Indian schools, if you go to Indian school, they will teach Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. The teacher is also considered as Guru. So if I go to school teacher, she will teach about God. How to connect? What is his connection? How to connect to Him? Okay, now we are disconnected, okay, maybe, but how to connect to Him now? Meditation. On? What is meditation? Who is doing meditation here? How many of you are doing meditation? Why some people are not raising hands? Actually, everybody is meditating. Everybody is meditating. Even the pig is meditating, ant is also meditating. You know why? Meditation means to meditate on something. Now, if I am meditating on my work project, the boss has given me some job and I am meditating how to do it, that is also meditation. I am hungry, I am meditating on food, what to eat, that is my meditation. I am always meditating. Meditation means where is your whatever your mind is thinking, that is meditation. Nowadays, meditation is understood as blanking the mind. No, you cannot first of all blank the mind, by the way. There is no such thing as blanking the mind. It is not, if you have successfully blanked the mind, that means you are dead. You are dead. As long as you are not dead, your mind is not blank. So this so-called, many techniques of so-called meditation are being taught like this. blank the mind and just free of all thoughts, just be present. This be present is the worst thing I have heard. It has become so overrated nowadays. Be present. That means what? You don't think about anything in the future? You think so? Every action in the present moment is based on some plan. Now you have come here, you have taken a bus or an MRT or a Grab or a taxi or whatever you have come here. That is because you wanted to come here. You have a plan and then you act towards it. How can you act without having something in the future to look out for? It's stupidity. And they say, oh, forget the past, forget the past. No. From past we can learn lessons. Our whole scripture, Purana means what? Past, history. Then why we should learn history lessons? In the school also they are teaching history. Past, no, forget it. Why we are learning past? Of course that history not of much value, but Purana means history, old. Purana means old. There is, what is there? So many lessons for us to learn from. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Krishna is saying, Dhruv Maharaj is saying. So many Acharyas, Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Arjuna. All these great personalities are speaking so many things and we can learn from them. Past is something we can learn from. And then based on that we can act in the present to secure our future. And no such thing as just be present, don't worry about the future. It has not. Yesterday only I was passing by, where it was? On one shop. There's some caption. Future has not come yet, so don't worry. Past is already finished, and you can do nothing about it, so don't worry. Be present. That is exactly what an animal does, by the way. An animal doesn't care about what past, what is past, what future, who cares? Just be present. That's it. And that is animal life. That's not human life. Human life we have to understand. Yes, we have to be fully present what we are doing, but for that we have to really know what we are doing and what we should do and what we should not do. So meditation, she has said meditation. Meditation on what we have to do. You see this. Everything has specifics. There are specifics for everything. Next. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthirah samprekshanasikagram svam dishaschanavalokayan prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vrate sthitah manah samyamya machitto yukta asita matparah. This is chapter 6, text 13 and 14. One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me with a capital M within the heart and make me with the capital M the ultimate goal of life. Who? Krishna. You have to meditate on him, not on anybody else, not on anything else. And he further emphasizes on this point and he says, Mame kam sharanam vraja. Prabhu, Hinduism is very nice, Prabhu. Many people say, because we have flexibility in our religion. They say like this. We have full flexibility. Even I heard Narendra Modi was saying a few years back, he was also talking similarly that Hinduism is a very flexible. अगर कोई पहलवान है, उसका भगवान हनुमान है. If somebody is a bodybuilder, his god is Hanuman. And if somebody is a feminist, his god is Durga. Everything goes. You can be anything and you can be a Hindu. This is their so-called idea of Hinduism. Absolute rubbish. None of them have studied any books at all. You mean, even in your own company or in your any country, there are standard protocols, standard operating procedures, SOP. Every company has standard operating procedures, every country has standard. You mean to say with God there is no standards? No standard. Substandard. God means substandard. Anything you can do and you can go to God. Like that, anything you can do and come to Singapore, right? For those who have come from India. Or anything you can do and go to moon, Mars. Why we have to, carefully, do some spacecraft. Anyway, spacecrafts all won't work. But they're trying something. They're trying so hard. So, I mean, if there are so many rigid rules here, like fish, they can't live on land. We can't live in water. There is so much rigid rules here also. You mean to say going to Krishna, no rules at all. Simply do whatever you want, and no, it is not like this. There are specific rules for everything. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. He is saying, see here. People say like that, especially so-called Hindus. The problem with Hinduism is that they don't know, first of all, their own religion. They don't know anything about the religion. At least if you go to a Christian, he will quote at least one shloka from Bible. Something he will quote, chapter, verse, number, and something he will say. If you go to a Muslim man, he will quote something from Quran. They have some respect, they read. There's something they know at least. Even if he is not fully practiced, something they can know. You ask Hindu about what is Hinduism. There is a Facebook group, Hinduism. I just joined. I thought I could, share some of our videos or, our work, whatever we are doing, share that. Every day there are people asking, how can I become Hindu? And our experts, Hindu experts are giving answers, replies. You can do whatever you want. Basically the answer is, in a nutshell, you can do whatever you want. Hindu is very flexible, the most flexible religion in the world, they say. What flexible? What flexible? Yeah, very flexible. You can go to heaven, you can go to hell, you can go become an animal, you can become insect, you can become tree, anything you can become. That flexible. Not that you can do anything and then still you can go back to God. No, you will never go back to God like that. We have to follow what God said to go back to Him. So here you see in 1866, Sarva dharman parityajyam mam ekam sharanam vraja. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma ashuchaha. Now here, this is the last instruction of Krishna. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. He is not asking us to give up religion, you become atheist. No. If we have been following any form of religion and if we have not come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, that means all our religious activities are useless. Because all religious activities should get you to the point of surrendering to Krishna. If we have not come to the point, that means we have missed it somewhere. So Krishna is redirecting us back to the original goal. Wherever you are, give up that. Because you are going somewhere, you have to understand that you have to come to me. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, because that is real religion. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. And he says, unto me alone. You see, Mam ekam. Ekam is very important. Not that you can surrender to me, or if you like, you can surrender to Ganesh or Durga or anybody, whoever you like, Shiva. Your choice. No, he did not say like this. In fact, he said very emphatically in the 9th chapter that if you worship devatas, that is avidhi purvakam, not correct way of worshipping. But those who are, only having material desires, they are given the facility to worship devatas, but that is not the perfect ultimate way. Because they are interested in material things. And the devatas also only can give material things. Lord Shiva himself said, Mukti pradata sarvesham vishnurevana samshaya. If I can give my devotee anything, but if he wants mukti, then he must go to Vishnu. That is beyond me. Lord Shiva himself, he is the greatest of all devatas. He himself is saying. So anyway, to how to connect yogataha, meditation, but there are actually 9 specific ways. This is called devotional service. We can connect with somebody when we serve that person, even ordinarily. That's why they say customer service. Because if they really want to win the customer over, they have to serve him very well. Even if the customer shouts at him, yes sir, he has to smile. Nowadays they have even more different names in different companies. Instead of saying customer service, customer happiness officer. Some companies they have this title, customer happiness officer. They have to make the customer happy. Then only you can win him over. So similarly, if we want to win God over, if we want to please Him, we have to serve Him. If you want to connect to anybody, you have to serve that person. Same thing with God. We have to serve God. Problem is, we only look for God when there is a problem, so that He can serve us. He can remove our problem. He can, we are always looking how to make God our servant. That is not devotional service. That is ayogata. Okay. Krishna in fact said, even that is also good. At least you have come to me. Even if you want material life, if you have come to me, that is good. That is not best. At least you have started coming to me, that is good. But the reason for which you have come, that is still wrong. Eventually, hopefully, he will get purified. He will get purified. It's only the matter of sincerity. Either now or after 100 lives or after 100 million lives. According to our sincerity. So, now as long as one takes even a sannyas, ashram, sannyas, diksha, but if he ayogataha, if he does not engage in seva, what are those 9 things that, how to connect with Krishna? You see, prasadam is also a good way to connect to Krishna. So many people like prasadam. Prabhupada said, to digest philosophy is very difficult. Digest prasadam very easy. That is also a very good way of connecting. Actually, that is a very potent way, in fact. Prabhupada started the movement by prasadam and chanting. And it is according to, according to scriptural injunctions. Starting with the tongue, we have to serve the Lord. This is how we connect with God. Shri Prahlad Uvacha. Prahlad is saying, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoh Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnau Bhaktischain Navalakshana Kriyeta Bhagavatyadha Tanmanye Dhitam Uttamam. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, which is Archamurti Seva, and then offering prayers to the Lord. There are so many nice shlokas are there. Becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend and surrendering everything unto Him. In other words, serving Him with the body, mind and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. He is the most learned person. So even if one artificially, he has given up material duties and taken sannyas, but if he does not engage in Krishna consciousness, he is a loser. He will be dukkham apnoti ayogataha. Dukkham. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha. As long as we don't connect with Krishna in devotional service, we will be unhappy. Yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adhigacchati. Even if one is not situated in sannyas ashram, but if he is engaged in devotional service, then he will quickly go back to Krishna. But even the sannyasi, if he is not engaged in devotional service to Krishna, he will not. His only gain is trouble. His only achievement will be trouble. Kleshodhikatarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam. Klesha means what? Trouble. 12th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 5th verse. If we don't take to Krishna consciousness. So it is not the external situation. Oh, what dress is wearing? Oh, this sannyasi, his dress is very, very bright orange. That means he is more bona fide. No, not like this. That's not how you judge a proper sannyasi or not. Somebody, that colored dye anybody can buy. You know. So the person who is bona fide means who? Who is serving Krishna, who is talking about Krishna. If he is not talking about Krishna, he can wear any dress. He can wear like pakka sadhu. But if he is not talking about Krishna, he is a rascal. Immediately. No, Prabhu, how you can say like that? No, we can say. Because Krishna is saying. Why we cannot say? We should say. If somebody is cheating in the name of religion, we have to expose that person. That is a duty of a preacher. Sometimes we have done some video on our YouTube channel. Somebody was wearing our dress and speaking something else, motivational talk, like ordinary motivational speaker. So we made a video criticizing that. So some people criticize us. They say, wow, you are wearing like sadhu and you are criticizing, what is this? But Krishna himself criticized. He said useless, dukkham apnoti. And this is just one. I will show you so many. No time, that's the problem. But anything that does not help the person to come out and become Krishna conscious, come out of his material entanglement, become Krishna conscious, is a waste of time. What are you speaking about? Serving Krishna means talk about him and get people to him, not simply talk some nonsense completely out of line. That's why we have been trained by Sundar Gopal Prabhu. He is the only person, I am telling you, in the whole world, even in among Krishna devotees, who preaches this way. There is a screen and then he talks, shows, right on the screen, right there, live. People, because people are speaking all kinds of things. Oh, from there, whatever they want, they are speaking. He has taught us this way. From Prabhupada's books, directly you can see on the screen what he is speaking. So when you are reading, it's not that I am speaking something from my head. Right? So that is the way we have to present everything. We have to know what is correct, what is wrong. So ultimately, to become happy, the only ingredient is Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said, there is no scarcity in this world except for Krishna consciousness. They say, oh, overpopulation, oh, global warming, this, that. No, that is not the real problem. The problem is the people are not Krishna conscious. Prabhupada says, even if the population increases by 10 times, there are 70 billion people on this planet, there will be absolutely no scarcity. There is enough land to supply as food. But the problem is mismanagement because of lack of Krishna consciousness. They would rather throw all the food rather than give it to the poor, because they don't see everybody as children of God. They don't share. All politics are the ones. Politics are keeping everything, divided. What is that? The necessities are not going to the people who actually need them because of politics. Because they want price and everything, price control, so many things. So if there is Krishna consciousness, then Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole planet, the whole world is one family under Krishna. Then everything is possible. Everything is possible. So that is required. That vision is required. That activity on that platform is required. Everybody will be happy. Not only in this life, not only happy in this life. Go back to Krishna, next life. Yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena gachati. Who is thoughtful, who thinks about, first of all, think means not just think, speculate, no. With the reference of Shastra. Whatever Krishna has said, think about that and execute on that. We have Bhagavad Gita, we have all scriptures, we have the most number of scriptures. And we don't even know the name of our religion. We call ourselves Hindus. That's not that word doesn't exist in our Shastra. It's a foreign word. The Muslims, in the Afghan region, Pathan Muslims, they used to call us Hindus. It was a geographical. Sindhu river is there. People on the eastern side are called Hindus. But ultimately, that is a geographical notation. That's not a religious name at all. Real name is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means what? It did not have a start date and will never have an end date. All time, for all time, it's true. Krishna himself said, what I am speaking to you, Krishna, now I spoke this millions of years ago to the sun god in the sun planet. It's the same thing going on, millions of years old. All right, we'll stop here. Any questions or comments?
This information starts with the name itself.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Misidentification.
No. That 775. This one. Now we have time constraint. This one, no? You can all chant together, Shri Praharaduvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. So these are the 9 ways of Hare Krishna. And any more questions? Anyway, not. All right. So we'll stop it here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.